Hey everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here, and welcome back to the Train Room, guys, for another experimental tutorial video. And recently, guys, I thought it'd be so cool to build my very own breakdown B unit out of this beautiful K-line B unit right here. And it's going to be a fun ride, guys. Honestly, we're going to be doing this one step at a time, and I think I have a cool idea on how we can get this all done, implemented into the shell. So anyways, guys, here we go for the long ride. All aboard. Alrighty guys, so recently I picked up this B unit at a train show, and it's an old K-line B unit that probably came in a slave set of TMCC ABAs or something like that, and it runs great. The smoke unit's awesome, and I picked this up, and once I saw it, I was like, you know what, this is going to be my very first breakdown unit. I just had to figure out how to do it. So we're going to be implementing some electronics here, also adding our own sounds and stuff, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But I made up a couple parameters for me to follow. So first off, I'd like this to fit in to any like ABA set in the collection, or just letting it run on the railroad by itself, make it sound and look great by itself. So you're not suspecting it's going to break down, but with the push of a button, the chaos will begin. Now the other thing too, I wanted this to be totally separate from like TMCC or MTH's control system, so you can run this more so as an accessory than a train car or an engine. So it can be on its own or just sitting in a yard somewhere. So we're going to implement some idle sounds as a sequence. So when the engine's on the track, power it up, the idle system will start. And also the smoke unit will kick on as normal. So those are some of the parameters they came up with. So you guys at home can run this conventionally, or if you want to set one of these like on a yard track with some track power, this system will all run. And all the electronics are here. Ordered everything on Amazon, so you guys at home can pick up all these parts on your own dime. So first off, we have LEDs. These are our fire LEDs from Amazon. We also have our soundboard right here. This also has an amplifier circuit implemented on the board, so you don't need to buy any separate amplifiers. We also have our little power boards. One's already hooked up to this. And what else do we have? We have a speaker. I did have to buy the speaker separate. You can use like a 3-watt speaker or so. I'm just using an old MTH speaker to test for right now. And what else? Oh, the relay boards that came with the remote. So you get 2 relay boards. So you get 4 different triggers and a wireless remote right here. So that's pretty much all you need for this. And then the smoke unit already was in the shell. So if you need a smoke unit, you can buy those through like eBay or MTH's website. You can buy really nice smoke units. So anyways, guys, let's get into this video. Alrighty, guys, so before we get into wiring up this beast, I wanted to go through the parts that we'll be using. So first off, we're going to need power. So that's what this board is down here. Already hooked up to my test bench transformer. And this power board, I've used them a lot on the channel. You basically can dial in any voltage up to like 36 volts DC. And we have our track power coming in right here through these terminals. Red is your center roller. The black is your ground. And then that goes to our outputs over here. This board is polarized, so plus on the left, minus on the right, going to our motherboard right here for the sounds. Now, how this board works here, it's very easy. Here's another one. So here's a duplicate board on top. Looks really scary. There's all kinds of buttons and stuff. Don't worry about it, guys. I got you covered. So we're going to flip it over. So first, it says DC 9 to 24. Down here, this board is getting 10 to 10.5 volts. I found out that the 9 volt was just not enough to run this board. Need a little bit more oomph, because this board also includes our amplifier, which is why you have the potentiometer to adjust your volume on the top with a screwdriver. So flip it back over. We're getting power, 10 volts. The next 2 inputs right here, SPK speaker. That's your speaker output, which we have already wired up right here to test. Next we have, it says light. This light function is only for when the sounds are triggered, the light will turn on. So we'll not be using that for this, because we're going to have idle sounds running in the background as our locomotive is on the track getting power. This is just going to loop a locomotive idle sound. So we don't want the lights on yet for like our fire and stuff that I'd like to do. So we're going to hold off on that. But it's pretty cool to know that that's in there. So next, we have all these scary pins down here. It says S1 through S9 and ground. So it says OPCOM/ground. So what this is basically 9 pins, S1 through 9. Pretend that says sound 1 through 9, which means you'll get 9 different types of sounds you could play through the board. And anytime any of these pins touch ground, it will activate the sound that's programmed to that S number. So if I touch a wire from ground to S9, it will play S9. If I touch that wire back to S8, it'll play S8, and 1 through 7 as well. So think of it like that. Anytime you complete the circuit, it's going to play the sound, and it will also loop the sound. So as long as the connection is touching, like let's just say ground to S9, that S9 file is going to loop and loop and loop until the wire is disconnected. And I'll show you guys that on our test board down here. I did try to upload some sounds to it. I kind of messed up through the editing software, so you guys will hear that in just a moment. Now, these dip switches on top, these are for looping and also sequencing. So if you just want 1 through 9 to play, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it will loop the sounds. So if you're just running like music or a sequence, it will just loop it over and over and over. So we're not going to use that function on here. I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, you do get a volume adjust. The USB is right here. It's I believe it's a micro USB. It actually comes with the USB cord, and you plug this into your computer to program your sounds. Now, how you upload the files to this is very, very easy. So you plug it in your computer, and I'll show you guys later on. You're going to click on the device that shows up. It might say like no name or no device name. Click on that. You'll see that there's 9 test files. They're in Chinese. It counts in Chinese 1 through 9. And you can click on them. And what you do is that when you want to program, let's just say I want to add a sound to pin number S5, for example, your MP3 has to use MP3 files. You want to name it, rename it, do 4 zeros. So it'd be 00005.mp3. And you upload, or you just literally copy and paste it into this board. It comes up like a USB device, and then it sends it to the file on the board. That's it. The board's max memory is 64 megabytes. So for instance, on here, I believe I programmed it to pin number 1. So the sound we'll be using just for a test is on this first pin. So I connected this wire right here. We're going to touch it to that first pin, and it will play the sound when we have power. So this is our ground right here. We're going to touch the wire to pin number 1. And there you go. So now it's playing our diesel sound for the idle. And there's a gap in the sound file, so I uploaded another file that will be our breakdown sounds. It should show up any second now. But by mistake, guys, I clipped the idle sounds along with the breakdown just as a test. And you can see the red light is still lit. It's just very dim. And then it's going to play our breakdown sequence in a second here. It's like an over idle. It sounds like the engine's trying to restart itself, kind of going crazy. So let's wait here. But yeah, as long as that red light is lit, you're playing back sound. There we go. So guys, we have our sounds going, we have our power going to our soundboard, and now I'd like to do some switching. Let's say I want to turn off and on the smoke unit, turn off and on our sounds, and then also send different, pins to that ground, because I don't want all the sounds running at once. You could put a timer in here, but that's no fun. We want to activate this thing while it's on the railroad at random, maybe trick up our friends, like the engine's breaking down, that type of thing. So what we'll be using are these right here. These are wirelessly activated relays, and all a relay is a switch. You get 2 different types of pins, and you have a common that shares them. So let's talk about the pins on here. For anyone that's new to relays, they're a lot of fun. Used them all over my layout for switching, lights, directional lighting, also signals. So first off, let's talk about these pins. So first, you have normally closed. which means without any power going through these relays, the circuit's closed. So if you have a light, if you have a power source going in through common and out the normally closed pin to like a light to, back to your power source to complete the circuit, the light will be on because the circuit is closed. Think of it as a switch. And then common means that's what it's just using as your switching. So next you have NO, normally open, which means without any power activated to the relay, the circuit's open. So if you have a light plugged in, the light will be off. Now when you activate the relay, they change their properties. So normally open becomes a closed circuit. Normally closed becomes an open circuit. So think of it like that. So on this relay for right now, we'll be using the normally open function and common. So we'll run a wire going from the board down here, from our ground, into common. Plug that in. Then run another wire from normally open to our pin 1 through 9. So when I activate the circuit, that normally open will become closed, and it'll send a signal from our board here, allow the signal path to travel through the normally open, through the common, back to our soundboard there, getting our breakdown sounds. Now, other things I can use for this, I'll be using this to turn off and on our smoke unit, because sometimes you don't want the smoke unit running. Once it sits on the track, you don't want that smoke unit running all the time, especially if you have to fill it up with smoke fluid. It's good to turn them off, that type of thing. And also, if you're troubleshooting sounds, you don't want the smoke unit blaring at you. We can also use these boards to turn off and on the soundboard as a whole if we want to work on something, or just turn off the sounds to run it as a quiet B unit. Now for the breakdown sounds, guys, I thought about having the idle sounds in the background. So that'll be rolling on pin number 1 constantly. We're going to have that ground just hardwired right to it. So we're going to delete the sound for that. Now this is a video I found of someone starting up a diesel, and it sounds like it's not very happy. It sounds like the diesel just does not want to cooperate. So I thought this was perfect for the breakdown sound. So take a listen to this. So you're getting some like whining sounds of them trying to start it. And just the way he idles the engine when he tries to start it, it just sounds really grumpy. So I thought this would be great for a breakdown sound right here. So just having those like whining sounds and stuff. So it sounds like the diesel's going to run away on them. So I thought that was so cool to put in there, and just maybe loop that over a couple times and chop it up. So we're going to play around with this audio file. I'm going to make it all chopped up, and you can hear he idles it back again at the end. So I thought about maybe putting a loop on there so we constantly get that growling sound. EMDs have that 2-stroke like diesel sound, the diesel whine. So I want to hear some of that. Hear some grinding and stuff. So we'll find some other sounds to throw them in. But just as an example, I can extract the audio once this is up, and then we'll upload this to our sound card. Then when we're done, guys, I'll meet you back by the desk. I'll show you guys the sounds and how it'll work through the newly programmed board. All right, so we're back at the desk, and I have all the sounds that I would like already programmed onto our board. And it's really crazy, guys. I was getting this weird loop effect. So after the diesel idle sounds were done, you'd hear it just a little pause in the audio. So I extended that 5 seconds of diesel idling in a loop to 5 minutes. So it's going to be kind of harder to pick up. Or also the diesel sound should be on while the locomotive is running, just as some background filler noise and engine noise. But then when we want to, we're going to trigger the breakdown sound. So how I did that to run the background loop, it's actually just take a piece of wire and go from trigger number 1 back to the ground. So that cycle is on repeat. You also have to activate that with the soundboard by utilizing these dip switches here. So we have the first one, dip switch number 1, located up here, and it's positioned to on. So that's going to loop anything that is currently being activated. So that's something kind of cool. And once that cycle's done, whatever's still connected will go back to it. So for example, let's give it power. We have diesel idling right now. And if I want to trigger the breakdown sounds, we're going to connect port number 2 to the ground really quick. And now our breakdown sequence begins after connecting those. And then once the breakdown cycle is finished, it should go back to the original cycle here. And then there's our breakdown cycle. And guys, the crazy thing is about the voices for the breakdown cycle, I actually utilize CapCut's AI technology. So it's just me doing all the parts, but then you do a voice changer over top, and it actually sounds like other people. It's crazy. You guys will hear that once everything is assembled in our locomotive. So the next step, guys, will be to wire up our power board, find a spot for it inside the shell, hook up a relay to our on and off for the power board, mount our speaker, mount the power board or the motherboard for the sounds, and then get into wiring up our lights and smoke. So first, I'm going to take this locomotive apart, hook up the speaker. We actually do have a speaker cavity on here, which is awesome. So this engine's going to sound great. Going to wire the speaker through the floor, and we'll get back to you guys in a few minutes here. I'm going to tinker with this and clean up some of this wiring here as well. Alrighty guys, so all the wiring is done for the breakdown B unit. It sounds amazing. I messed with the dip switches a little bit more on the control board over here. And really quick, the wiring is pretty simple. I know it's a spaghetti mess, but basically we go from our power board here, and the power is entered in from the track, from the center roller. The frame is our ground. There's a black wire there for the grounds, so you get nice electrical contact on the track. Next, we're going to trace our power leads to this relay back here. This is in charge of giving us our fireball lights for the smoke unit, also powering up the smoke unit. So we have 2 channels on here that are activated with this app right here. Next, we have a wire going from, basically the relay board requires DC, so we use that as a distributor point across our relays to power the same amount of DC current to our accessories here, the lights and smoke unit. Next, we're going to trace it back to these 2 wires here. We're going to go all the way back to our relay. Now, I want the soundboard to run on its own. I thought about, having a way to turn it on and off. Maybe I'll put in a splice potentiometer. We'll see, or some type of switch. But for right now, everything's running like perfect. And I had an issue. I thought the soundboard wasn't working right because I could hit the control for A to get the normal sounds, but then after our breakdown cycle, it would not recycle back to A. So I went to continuous play mode on here, which means after the 5 minutes are up, it might start to break down on its own. So if I want more of an immediate effect, just use the application. But other than that, it's going to happen potentially on its own. It's going through play mode. So it goes through 1 through 9. And if it doesn't see any data, it's just going to play the last or the next sound on there, then the last sound, then the first sound. So I thought that was kind of cool. So the relay now is just cycling between our idle sounds and the first relay right here. And then also we're going to have our breakdown sounds in the second relay. So here's a test run. So when we fire up the board, we automatically get our diesel sounds. The boards are blinking blue to connect to Bluetooth. All right, we're good. We're going to get our smoke unit on right now. And then we're going to break her down by hitting channel number 2. And you can see the fire effects going on.
Looks like we got some smoke.
So I'll turn the sounds down a little bit so I can talk about what's going on. So basically, I did the sounds in here and that used the AI voice. So that's still my voice. It's just they overdubbed it. So some of it's a little cheesy, but it's a lot of fun. Also said, like, this unit just came from the shop. I think I heard something similar with Lionel, so I just looked one up on YouTube recently. But the cool thing is, after this cycle, we can actually turn off channel 2. That means our fireball disappears, but that's just the lights. It's still running its cycle. So after he says we got to shut her down, the cycle shuts down. And it goes back to idle sounds. All right, guys, the breakdown unit is all put back together. It's working pretty well. There's a little bit of a power draw. It's drawing about 2.5 amps. Then it calms down right around 1 amp or so. It's pretty normal. I mean, there's a lot of electronics in there. There's relays and the smoke board. There's a lot going on inside the shell. I might also peel back some of this venting to actually give it real venting because it is quite toasty. And also the doors on the front and rear of the car are open as well. So that also helps with ventilation, getting the heat out. So let's see what happens here. Let's give her some track power. And there we go.
I think we have a problem back here. It looks like we got some smoke building out of the heat. Yeah, we better stall it down before we got a fireball coming out of here.
Oh man, I thought they just said this came back from the shop during the briefing. They must have put some GE parts in here. This thing's gonna be a fireball any minute. Looks like this track gang's also flagging us down. We better slow her down and try to drag her back to the yard before we get a huge mess on our hands or a big old fire. See what happens. Oh God, there's the fire. Oh no, this is not good. Oh man, way to do it on a Friday.
Man, those mechanics are gonna love us after this journey. This thing's gonna be fried. Way to do it on a Friday again. Haha, Friday. I get it.
Engineer Nix to dispatcher crossing. We got a shutter down. Got a huge fire back here. This thing's be one crispy turkey.
I think we have a problem back here. Looks like we got some smoke building out of the heat. Yeah, we better stall it down before we got a fireball coming out of here.
Oh man, I thought they just said this came back from the shop during the briefing. They must have put some GE parts in here. This thing's gonna be a fireball any minute.
Whoa, Nix, did you feel that? I think we have a problem back here. Looks like we got some smoke building out of the heat. Yeah, we better stall it down before we got a fireball coming out of here.
Oh man, I thought they just said this came back from the shop during the briefing. They must have put some GE parts in here. This thing's gonna be a fireball any minute.
Alrighty guys, so this unit performed beautifully. It actually went through the breakdown cycle, did all the smoke effects we wanted to with the fire effect and everything. Then also, after that, it went back to the idle sequence. So this is running beautifully. Now I will say the Bluetooth app can be a little dodgy at times. You have to reset the app a couple times or reset power to your locomotive. But other than that, it's a great runner. The rollers and everything are working great. And this was a K-line piece that went with a couple other units. I think it was an ABA set back in the 2000s with TMCC.
So the tooling is scale. It's a beautiful tooling. Lots of detail in here. They even had like the little loops and stuff to lift up the shell back in the old days. So I think that's really cool. And all the vents, they have the spinning vents on the inside. So pretty awesome piece. Love the wheel detail too. They did a great job. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed watching me struggle and build this beautiful unit.
Alrighty, everyone, that's going to do it for this video on my breakdown B unit. Had a great time building this thing, but I am exhausted. This has been about a 12-hour project between the electronics, the install, the wiring, the programming of the board. It has taken me pretty much all day. I've been up since like 5:30 this morning recording this for you guys. But anyways, I think it was worth it. This unit is just amazing. I love the sounds. It's also very toasty up here. It decided to be like 80 degrees today, so I'm dying. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Show some love. Give the channel some love. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment below. Leave a like. It's very easy to do. Helps us push the videos out there. But anyways, guys, until next time, happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See ya.